Okay, so 10 things that identify you as a professional artist. I had wanted to talk to you guys about this in today's video. I thought it was an important topic to talk about. And I'm working in my sketchbook today while I draw, and I wanted to talk about something that really shifted how now I see myself as a professional artist. I actually identify as someone as a professional artist. Not titles, not followers, not perfection. These are the things I've noticed in myself and other artists who take their craft seriously, especially behind the scenes as a YouTube artist. Let's do point number one together, shall we? Number one, take notes if you want to. You show up even when you don't feel ready, meaning when you don't wait for inspiration or confidence in that matter. Professional artists draw even when they're tired, unsure, or not in the mood. Showing up is part of the job, not feeling magical about it or creativity or whatnot. They show up every day for their work. It's like showing up for a part-time job. So that was point number one. Just review. You show up even when you don't feel ready. Point number two, you have a process you trust. My process, I keep mentioning it in every video I make now, is my CFP, confident flow path cycle. That is my process. That is how I go about drawing. So point number two is you have a process that you trust. A professional artist has a system. Maybe it's warm up. Maybe they start their day with warm ups every day. Maybe construction, timing, layers. Or there's a process you lean on every time your brain freezes. Yes, sometimes we freeze at the blank page to be scared of it. Professionals do that too. You are not alone. You don't rely on vibes. You rely on practice. That's a valid point there. I say this because it's important to know what the difference between a professional and a practicing hobbyist is. However, I am, even though I am a professional artist, and I say that confidently, I'm not saying it to feed my ego. That is a strong point there to make because to feed your ego is like feed a crowd of people pleasing. And I feel like that's an important part to make because are you doing art for yourself or are you doing art to please other people? Let that sink in for a second. Number three, you let the ugly stage exist. Yes, ugly stages. I love them. That's how I start my drawing. This page doesn't need to look good right away, and that's what the very professional attitude to have. Pros understand that messy stages are part of the work. They don't panic when things look halfway through or halfway wrong. Instead, they pick up the pencil and start drawing. That is the key point of this entire video. They start drawing. Point number, so let's review all the points we have so far, the video. So number one, you show up even when you don't feel ready. Number two, you have a process that you trust. And number three, you let the ugly stage exist. That is the beauty of being a professional artist. And let's go on to point number four. You finish more than you restart. Yes, that's a big one. That is a big one indeed. So let's go under the umbrella topics of this subtopic right here. Instead of consistently starting over, professional artists fix things. They adjust proportions, redraw lines, push through the discomfort because growth happens in the fixing. Wow. Let that sink in too, because that is like a really important information right there. And I came up with this because I felt like Sometimes we need to go over a mistake multiple times in order for something to click. So point number 5, you practice on purpose. Professional artists just don't draw randomly all the time. Sometimes it's expression, sometimes it's anatomy, and sometimes it's speed or confidence, like gesture drawing or like um, figure drawing and all the sorts. Even in sketchbook, there's intention. Intention is motivation, and I feel like when intention is there, you have a purpose to practice for. So, bottom line is, even though a lot of hobbyist artists and a lot of professional artists, it's all art. You are doing art. And what professional artists contain is they practice it consistently. Sometimes they don't practice it every day, like they miss a day or two, which is fine, because sometimes you don't feel good. But when it all ends, you're practicing art to make you happy. And I feel like if it's people pleasing and if, it's one thing to share art with the world and to get feedback on your art and everything. And it's one thing, but do what makes you happy. Don't do it just because you want to be called a professional artist. Do it because it makes you happy. I want this to be an inspiration video, and I'm not saying to be a professional artist to brag. I did not go to art school. Now, in college, I started taking art classes, but I did not finish them. Yeah, I got overwhelmed. I got stressed. Um, College wasn't made for me when I went to college, and I wanted to stress that out a little bit. I went for graphic design, and I did take a few, and I did like the classes. It was just overwhelming. And I wanted to point that out because when I say I'm a professional artist, I mean I do have 11 years of experience of drawing, and it's basically about the time you put into practice. So when you separate practice from performance, which is point number 6 I want to make, that everything you make is meant to be shared, which is the whole point here I'm trying to make. Professionals know the difference between training art and presentation art. Sketchbooks are for learning, not proving anything or valid information. So that is a valid point there because I feel like sketchbooks are sometimes art books. Like I use my Moleskine for art books, and if I feel like it's crappy looking, it's crappy looking. I accept that. I don't like feel pressure to myself to feel that I have to prove to anyone of anything. So number 7 is you measure progress, not perfection. Perfection can be a staple in the art community, and it can be overwhelming at the same time. So instead of asking yourself this question, and take notes on this too, with that being said, is instead of asking, is this good? You ask, is this better than before? And I know I'm scripting my videos, I will say that for a fact, but reading that is just, wow, that is like intense right there. That mindset shift is huge and very professional sounding. Um, and number 8, you work through fear instead of waiting for confidence. Let me backtrack a little bit here on this point because confidence and ego is two different things. Like when you feel confident, sometimes feeling cocky is like, oh, I'm better than you, or like blah blah. No, 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 no. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. Professional artists draw scared, messy, unsure, and confidence catches up later. So when it comes to all confidence, even though my cycle is called confidence flow path, confidence shows up later as I draw. It's not like I'm sitting down to draw and being like, oh, this is gonna be a good drawing or oh, this could be a bad drawing. Yeah, for a certain extent, but if you will, um, and everything. But I just wanted to say that for a fact that sometimes you don't need to be perfect all the time. And that's a major point I want to make. Professionals don't make perfect drawings all the time. Sure, they sell. Sure, they go to galleries and all sorts. But I wanted to make this point home how to identify yourself as a professional artist. And I'm giving you permission right here, right now, not script based. You are a professional artist, whether you want to call yourself one or not. And I feel like that's an important part to make because what you see yourself is what you see yourself. You don't want to bog down on the little details of what you call a professional artist. Um, so let me go to point number 9. You respect the time you put in. Yes, that is a good point right there. Even short sessions matter. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, one page, you're golden. That's good. And I feel like that is extremely important because professionals respect consistency and not just long, perfect sessions. So, all of this in this video of information thrown at you, I feel like it's really valid in a way to stop comparing yourself of how much time you spent. And this is me talking to myself right now, so I worry how much time I spent in the piece. Yeah. I tried my system for a 30-minute sketch and I call it good. And I picked out my pencil and be like, oh, time flies when you're having fun, you know? It's how you look at art, the perspective that you feel like you're making yourself. So the last point in this video I want to make, if you make it this far in the video, leave a heart emoji down in the comments down below because this is kind of like a Valentine's Day piece of my sketchbook. So before we make, um, we got 14 minutes left or 13 minutes left of the video. Um, let me talk about the drawing right here. We've been talking about what identifies you, and then we'll make the point home of how you treat yourself like an artist that you're becoming. So let me talk about this illustration. I came up with this illustration of a breath doll style. And honestly, guys, it's not perfect. It's cute and all, but I used my CFP to lay down the drawing, and yeah, so anyways, that's my process and the sketchbook and how I go about. And I finally found my favorite brush pen. Let me find it real quick. It is in Japanese that I cannot read. Oh my gosh. Anyways, it's one of those brush pens that you get off Amazon, and it is my favorite brush pen I like to use for inking. But anyways, let's go back to the script here for a second and make this point home. So, for tip number 10, how you see yourself as a professional artist is you treat yourself like the artist you are becoming. Round of applause there. A professional artist doesn't wait for permission. You don't need a title, a degree, or a certain number of followers to take yourself seriously. You decide and then you act accordingly. A lot of accounts on YouTubers have big followers, and sometimes I compare myself to other accounts, to other artists on YouTube. But sometimes they've been drawing a lot more than me. They've been have more experience than I do. And we all face it, comparison as an artist and the community. But can we be real here for a second as I end the video with you guys? Art is art. I want you to end this video on a good note and say, I can do art. I'm a professional artist, and I'm going to wrap this video up saying you're a professional artist. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Notification bell on so you won't miss a single video. And I thank you guys for wrapping up this video with me and staying to the end. And if you have any questions about this art or the markers I'm using, it's Ohu markers. And I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.